most of the time. I am not skeptical of Chris Lemonis. I'm not. He was a good hire. He did a good job at Indiana, and he went College World Series, team that probably would have gone. We're off to a hot start in COVID year, national champion. But there's a difference between not being very good considering injuries and then kind of the wheels just falling off of this thing lately. 6 straight losses now for Mississippi State. Wheels have completely fallen off of this team. Last night, I mean, they're down 8-0. They try to come back, can't do it against Samford and Hoover. Forgive my French, what the hell?
That is you just summed it up. That's the perfect question to ask. I mean, 8-0 on 2 grand slams. Not they're not getting pulverized. They're not just 2 mistakes. A couple of walks and a single in the first inning turns into a grand slam.
One of those was hit by former LSU football player Maurice Hampton.
Yeah. This is just a bad team, Michael. I've been saying it for weeks now. And good teams find ways to win. Bad teams find ways to lose. State found another way to lose. Mikey Tepper, who's a guy I know. I mean, this is a guy who I've seen throw 96, 97. He's got stuff. Jackson Fristow, I've seen him throw 95, 96. He's got stuff. But they just haven't been able to make their pitches when they've needed to. And it's just too little too late on the back end of that. State's pitching is just a train wreck, top to bottom. It has been. It wasn't great before Sims and Simmons went down, but now it's just completely out of control, and they just don't have anybody to go to. It was good to see Cole Cheatham come in last night. Maybe that's a young guy that they can look for in the future a little bit. State, by God, they need some left-handed arms. He and Pico Khan maybe can be something for the future. But that's just sort of where you are. And, I mean, since the win in the in the 11th inning in Oxford, where Brad Compass hits the home run, they're 1-7. They're going to be they're probably going to be 1-10 because A&M needs to win this weekend. They're going to be looking to win. So I mean, there you go. They play North Alabama, who they should be able to beat, and then they have 3 with Tennessee. You got a great chance mathematically of losing 13 of your final 15 games. Finishing under 500, not making Hoover, and just calling it a day. So, going to need some big changes next year. There's no question about that. And then we'll see if Chris Lemonis and staff are able to put it together.
He seemed pretty mad last night. I mean, some of his post-game quotes are... I mean, he was mad. He was truly, actually mad last night.
He's frustrated.
And you don't usually get that from him. He seems to be pretty measured, and that was the first time this season where I felt like, not that he's cracking, because that's not the best analogy, but the frustration is starting to finally show through, and he's losing the ability to be stoic about these losses.
Lemonis has always, since he's been here, been the never too high, never too low guy, but everybody's got a breaking point, and to give up 8 runs in the manner that State, 2 grand slams. I mean, that's a rare feat in any level of baseball. So, especially when you're talking about an SEC team versus a Group of 5 team. No offense to Samford, they're a good baseball program year in and year out, but you just don't expect that to happen. So, yeah, the frustration's starting to boil over for him a little bit, and you're starting to see some things, outside. State yesterday, and one of their commitments, or I guess one of their signees, has now committed to East Mississippi. Why did that happen? Well, the rumor mill says that, and common sense says, he's a guy that, is more of a developmental kid, and, maybe he hadn't had the great senior year of high school, and State was just sort of like, well, we can't use you now. And we've got to go into the portal, and we've got to find a guy that we can use. So I think if you follow baseball recruiting, and Lord knows that's the hardest one to follow, State's probably going to see some movement there of guys that are signees that they're going to release out and let find other situations because they have to hit the portal hard. And Lemonis, I think some of his comments last night, he knows it. He knows he's got to go in there and sort of do what LSU and Texas A&M did this year. Get 4 or 5, not just depth guys, but guys who can come in and make an immediate impact. A couple of them on the mound and a couple of them in the lineup. And it's just going to have to be that way for Mississippi State. And then you try to build around who you can get in the portal with Hines, Aaron Downs, Slade Alford, maybe Kellum Clark's back for another season. I'd like to see Luke Hancock come back and get a year behind the plate. And I think that there's some momentum for him to do that. But then you're going to have to see some new faces in this lineup next year that make – you got to go out basically and go get 4, as my podcast partner Robbie Falk said today on for the podcast for tomorrow, the Thunder and Lightning podcast. You got to go get 4 R.J. Yeagers.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Luckily, like I've said before, and State fans, you guys agree with this, luckily, in terms of what you can sell to portal players, who can sell better?
You got good news.
You've got very good things to sell. You've got playing time in that atmosphere with those facilities in this conference. That's a very easy sell if you're going portal hunting. It's not like you're Virginia going for the same guys that in football, going for the same guys that Alabama and Ohio State are after. You know, you are the Alabama and the Ohio State dipping into the portal to pick out needs. It's different for you. Here's the quote you were alluding to, though, where I agree with you. I think he's making reference to roster holes that he'll address in something other than typical recruiting. He said, pissed. We're heading home pissed. We've been pissed for several weeks. We've got to play good baseball. Everybody has a job to do, and everybody has to do their job for us to play good baseball. We've got too many holes. We play good in this area, then it's something else. It's coming back to get us now.
Yeah. I mean, State has missed on some evaluations. I'm not speaking out of school here. Just watch the team play. Just look at who's on the bench and look at some of the guys in the bullpen that can't help, that aren't helping Mississippi State. When you go into the portal, when you go to the portal, you got to get guys who can contribute. When you sign junior college players, they have to be contributors from day one. You can't, there's no letting them sit on the bench and develop for a year or two. Those have got to be day one guys, and State's just missed on too many of those guys over the past couple of seasons. So, yeah, the good news is he just said it. He's not a guy who's like, well, we'll see, blah, blah, blah. There's not going to be roster loyalty. There's not going to be. It's going to be, can you play?
Yeah.
Can you contribute? Can you help us win games? If you can't, well, that's what the portal's for. Get in it.
Somebody on the text line says, don't write the Dogs off. We will see. Generally, I agree with you.
Dogs are written off, man.
They're not making the postseason.
They're 25 and 24. Their RPI is in the triple digits. What is left to write? What's left to write? I mean, do you really think they're going to win 5 of their last 6 games here? And even if they do,
they got to get to like Saturday.
I mean, they get to Hoover. Yeah, they have to get to Saturday and Hoover with this pitching staff. I mean, it's okay to say that this one's over, man. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll come on the show the Monday after on Memorial Day when they get into the NCAA tournament, and I'll be happy to be wrong. But just look at it, man. Come on.
I mean, we'd be pumped if we got to come back on the show and have postseason baseball in Starkville to talk about. But an RPI of 103, one game above 500, it really doesn't matter at this point what they do. Getting to Saturday after winning both series, including a sweep mixed in there, is the bare minimum that has to be done. And, I appreciate your optimism. Optimism's good. I need more of it in my life. I wouldn't hold my breath.